Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
You play a good game, boy, but the game is finished. Now you die.
This is episode 239, recorded April 9th, 2025.
Gruesome Magazine.
My name is Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-hosts Chad Hunt, Bill Mulligan, and Gregory Crosby and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from the wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. With me this week is Chad Hunt. Chad, my buddy, writer, director, comic book artist, co-host of all of them decades of horrors. How you doing?
Fine, boy.
Wow.
Sorry, fine, boy.
I was thrilled to find out that his real name, what his friends called him, was Rory.
Wow. Now, leave it to Jeff to work in some kind of Rory Calhoun reference.
Yeah.
Did you notice I just looked down at my feet?
Yes. Yeah. So, also with us is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, published author, and all-around nice guy. You can tell by the way.
Round's the name of the book.
You can tell.
Wrong.
Speaking of books, look what arrived in the mail today.
Ooh,
from
cool.
the fine folks at Creepy Images. They have a cool magazine too.
Now, is that a picture book or is that a?
It is a picture book because I can't read. Yeah, no, this is first of all, it's on this gorgeous.
Cool.
This gorgeous slick
nice
stock,
paper,
and you know, just amazing giallo posters. There's like 10 pages just for Cat o' Nine Tails, so they give you all the posters, Polish posters, and it just makes you sad when you realize how sorry the state of movie posters is these days.
Yes.
That there was a time a lot of these movies are pretty marginal, and yet they somehow hired an artist and painted a really striking stuff. I mean, these are so memorable.
Well, it used to be you didn't know anything about the movie. The internet didn't, so the poster was what all you had sometimes, and you had no information on it. So the poster had to tell the story. The poster had to be eye-catching, so to make you want to see it. So now, the internet's there, and they read all about the movie before it ever comes out. And
some of those movies,
trailers, and
some of those movies I think exist now just so there's a cool poster.
Mm-hmm.
Made of that movie because you didn't track down the movie and you're like, oh, but the poster remains fantastic.
Yeah, if you didn't see the trailer back then, all you knew was title and poster and the actors.
And they, you know, they're most of these giallo. I mean, giallo in a lot of ways had some limitations and all, and the same thing with the posters. There became you have to show the gloved hand and the knife and a screaming face. You might say, how many variations on that theme can they do? A lot, and just a massive amount of creativity. And this is all this is done before Photoshop and all these others. So it's inspiring looking at those things. Actually, It makes you want to, especially those of you artistically inclined, like the Chadster there, to sort of go out there. And for the rest of us, there's Photoshop. So.
Yeah, I'm not good at that either.
So thank you very much, Creepy Images people. Thank you so much.
Yeah, some of us will just have to like write a poem about a genre.
Yeah, also with us is Gregory Crosby, a poet and a
but he didn't know
college instructor.
Well, sadly, I know it all too well.
Gregory, what's the name of your book that is based on like movies or celebrities or something? Or I know I have that wrong, but what's your?
Yeah, that's completely wrong, but that's okay. I would like to write a book that's based entirely on movies. I have two books. One is called Said No One Ever, and the other is called Walking Away from Explosions in Slow Motion.
That one.
Yes, which is a
Tom Cruise story.
Trope. Yeah, not just Tom Cruise. Many a person has walked away from an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
But you have sort of a common theme, don't you?
Yes, the common theme is that all the poems in those books are bangers. And
there you go.
You can't go wrong.
Now you're making me feel like an old man who doesn't remember shit right. I swear there was.
It's okay. It's all right.
Aren't there some poems in there about movies?
Yes.
Okay.
I am a cinephile. Apparently, I occasionally am a guest host on a movie podcast. That's how deep of a cinephile.
That's why I'm trying to tie it in. So some people, you're not helping. I'm trying to sell a book for you here, guy.
Jeff, you're confusing it with Chad's book of poetry, where the common theme was the sixth line of every poem was "So eat your beans with every meal."
Yeah.
It is a classic.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
All right. So you doing okay, Gregory?
I'm doing great. We're about to talk about my pick.
Yeah.
But
More importantly, are you doing okay after that introduction?
Yeah.
Whatever that was. I've had far worse introductions.
Wow.
You may have figured out by now. I care very little about making a fool of myself. I have no problem.
If anybody cared about making a fool of themselves, no podcast would exist.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, we partner with Play Now Media, which is a streaming service that has a couple dozen channels on different subgenres. And in particular, Decades of Horror of the 1970s is on their Wicked Horror TV channel. And you can find that on all of the common places that you get your streaming apps. But we do have a promo code. And in order to take advantage of that promo code, you have to sign up at their website. And you also have to pick sign up for a paid plan. So the monthly fee is $6.99 a month. And with the promo code, you'd get 20% off your first payment. So $1.40. The annual plan is $50 and you would get 20% off your first payment. So you would get $10 off of that. And the promo code is DOH70, DOH all caps 70. And you must be a first-time subscriber. So got to go to the website, just search Play Now Media. You'll find it. There'll be a list of their apps. Click on it, do it. So they got a lot of great stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that we pick off of that channel for our movies. So what are we doing now? Oh, our topic is, well, that ain't right. I knew I had to have a mistake. I thought, boy, I got it right this time all the way through. So the movie is Phantasm, which came out in 1979, not 1974. Written and directed by Don Coscarelli. Cast includes A. Michael Baldwin, Angus Scrimm, Bill Thornbury, Reggie Bannister, Not Lynn Shay, Kathy Lester, and Terry Calbus. So I have two mistakes, at least, and counting. The production company is New Breed Productions. New Breed Productions, distributed by AFCO Embassy Pictures. It's filmed in California in a variety of locations, Huntington Beach, Altadena, LA, San Diego. I did see where one of the places was in Julian, which is East County, San Diego, up in the mountains. Alhambra and Oakland. Production dates: November 17th, 1977 to November 3rd, 1978.
That sounds like a long production.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they film mostly on weekends.
Been there, done that.
And I think, who was it? Angus Scrimm made a comment that there were sometimes weeks between when he was called in to do a scene. Release date was March 28th, 1979 in the U.S. The budget is an estimated $300,000. And, I get tired. I just wish once we'd get up. Here's the box office. Okay. So it's either 12 million or 15 million domestic box office. It was listed at 6.8 million in rentals. And then it said 22 million worldwide. So an extra, 7 million international.
You did well.
Yeah, that's a hell of a return on the investment.
All the way down the line it is, based on 300,000. And the synopsis of Phantasm is: a newly orphaned teenager, Mike, his older brother, Jody, and their friends face off against a mysterious grave robber known as the Tall Man, who employs a lethal arsenal of unearthly weapons in their Southern California town.
Well, that almost makes it sound like it makes sense.
And I got no idea what that thing is there in the picture, but it turns into those little.
It was the fly in the box.
It's got a lot of teeth.
Yeah.
Well, it started life as a finger.
It started life as a finger, but it ended its life as a fly.
So I don't know. That was just one of the bizarre things in this movie. There he is in his little box.
It's actually a cool little figure there.
It is.
Yeah, it
Cool.
is pretty neat.
That's
They
very
should have shown it a little more.
You don't see that clearly in the movie for obvious reasons, but he looks great there.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
He pops up out of the box, and they actually do a pretty good job, I thought, of when they got him wrapped up in the jacket and they're flopping back and forth around. It looked pretty good. It looked like they were getting jerked around by the.
I thought that was stupid.
I knew you would. All right.
Okay.
Well, it's time for first impressions, and this is Gregory's pick. So
Indeed.
we'll have him go first. When did you first see this, and why did you pick it, and what were your first impressions, and all that stuff?
So I'm pretty sure I saw this. I have a fairly vivid memory of seeing this in the early 80s on cable. Which is, unless you're seeing it at a drive-in, is probably the optimal way to first watch Phantasm. And I remember thinking, what is this? It was like no other horror movie that was around at the time that I'd seen in the early 80s. And I love this movie. Now, I want to make it clear right off the bat. This is not a brilliant script. The performances are adequate. The special effects are serviceable. And none of that matters. Because this is a movie whose title promises what you get. This is a total phantasm. This is a dream. The entire movie is a dream. It follows absolute dream logic. I have had dreams that unfolded the way Phantasm does, with very strange editing in the midst of some kind of longer narrative, some kind of story. And so all of the stuff that people may, if you go into this movie thinking like, oh, I want to see a really well-constructed horror movie, don't know. Phantasm, it's a dream. It is disturbing and funny. It is so very 70s, and yet, weirdly, it feels kind of like almost an 80s horror movie. It's really strange because, especially because it was made in 77, 78, it's not released till 79. It's really on the cusp. There's just something about some of the weirdness that, and just some of the indelible images that are in this movie that really sort of bespeak of a lot of the more Baroque excesses of some of the 80s movies to come. But otherwise, this is so very 70s, especially the actors, the scenery, the whole vibe is very, very, very 70s. This is not the best horror, one of the best horror movies of the 70s, but it might be one of my all-time favorites just because it is so distinctive.
Yeah.
And honestly, it clues the viewer in very early on that this is probably a dream, that this is not reality, with a scene very early on that is completely like, wait, what? Which of course is when Michael goes to visit the fortune teller, right, the grandmother, and does that whole pre-Dune hand in the box, fears the mind killer bit, and then the box just vanishes, and you're just like, wait, what? And Michael's just like, oh, okay, and you're just watching, you think like, okay, I'm just gonna let this movie, whatever's gonna about this movie is, I'm just gonna roll with it, and if you do that, this is great, especially if you really like. One of the worst parts of many a horror movie or movies in general is when you reach the end and like, oh, it was all a dream.
Yeah.
The worst possible cheat, going all the way back to poor Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And you're just like, wait, what? What do you mean it was a dream? But a movie like Phantasm, and there's only a handful of movies that do that just make it very clear somehow on some level that this is a dream, and you can just follow along with the dream. We're not going to like surprise you with it was all a dream. The movie does that, but at the same time, it really doesn't because of that final gotcha ending at the very end, which makes you feel like the whole thing is still a dream, dreams within dreams. Like Michael is stuck on an eternal loop, and I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is great 70s horror fun where please don't try to make this make sense because you will ruin the charm of it. And also you will not have as good a time as you would if you just go, okay, this is just wait, what? Okay. Love it. Love Phantasm.
Excellent. All right. Well, Chad, my boy, when did you first see Phantasm? Chadtasm.
I first saw what's the name of this movie again? Phantasm, as a teenager, and I didn't know what the hell it was, but I knew I liked it. It just, everybody. I remember everybody, all my friends and everybody talking about the ball and how cool it was with the drill bits and the forks and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until Doc and I went to the Knoxville Film Festival. It's a horror film festival in Knoxville. And they had just remastered, I think it was Bad Robot remastered Phantasm. And so they were featuring that there. And I saw it then. And a lot of things started to make a little bit more sense to me. I had seen 2 and 3 before that. And I remember 2 sort of tried to make a little more sense. Hollywood, they had a bigger budget. So it was sort of, you could tell it was more of a Hollywood type film. It kind of got away from the weirdness of the first. And but the third one I really liked. It told who the tall man was and how he started and that kind of thing. And the way the series ended up 4 and 5 is just mind-blowing Don Coscarelli stuff. And it makes all the other stuff make sense, but it does it in a way that says that could be it. You never know. That could be it. But I love that. I love the mystery of that, and I love this whole series. It's just what an icon the tall man is. Mm-hmm. It's strange, almost like a Fulci film. Like if you think about like The Beyond or something like that, how dreamlike that was. Just to go along with what Gregory was saying, this is very much a dream, and if you try to make sense of it on your first watch, you'll probably gouge your eyes out or something because you can't really do that. But Coscarelli, he had. I want to think that he had a plan. The way he ended this series with 5, which was Ravager, and what an epic ending it was. But I almost didn't want that. I liked having it unknowable. I liked having it mysterious and where you didn't really know what was going on. So I'm glad he didn't make it to where, this is absolutely what happened, and this is. It sort of leaves it. It could be one of many possibilities. I like the whole multiverse, the whole dimensional aspect of it, and this was sort of like the multiverse before the multiverse became. Marvel made it popular, I guess, but
the Phantasm Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. But I love this series, and the first one is just my favorite of them all, and it'll go down. That's why it's iconic now. I don't think it did very well in the beginning, but it wasn't shown in a lot of places. I don't think either. But classic film, and I love it to death.
All righty. Thank you. Bill Mulligan.
Yeah, you know, a lot of time we use the term dreamlike to describe an awful lot of the movies that we review. And sometimes it's just sort of a code for lazily plotted or just doesn't make any sense. But this one does genuinely feel like a dream. And just like a dream, at least when I dream, I only remember little bits and pieces of it. So watching it again, and it's been a few years since I saw Phantasm, there was a whole lot in there I had completely forgotten about. It's an odd film, but Coscarelli is a filmmaker that seems attracted to that. I mean, you look at something like Beastmaster. All right, you don't expect much from Beastmaster. It's a pretty straightforward, guy without a shirt and a good body who talks to animals. All right, fine. And then in the middle of it, you're watching this movie, and it's got, suddenly these bat creatures show up and they suck the skin off your body. I don't know. He likes to drop little weird things in there. Yeah. The only grudge I have against Phantasm is that I think he kept on making Phantasm movies, which are fine, but I really would have liked to have seen him do some other stuff, because I think he's such an interesting filmmaker. And when he does other stuff like Bubba Hotep or John Dies at the End, I tend to really like those movies. But of course, this is your indie filmmaker. You're only as good as your movies keep making profits. And if you find something that people like, you're going to keep making it. I can't blame him for that. Phantasm is interesting. It doesn't, it's hard to describe the plot. And if you do describe the plot to people, they'll think you're on drugs. I still don't get it. Well, alien, a big tall alien is taking bodies and squashing them down into dwarfs. Okay. I mean, he's got that silver sphere, which I got to say was the whole reason I went to see it, because I read Fangoria and there was something that really stuck in my head, and I've remembered it ever since. That what I recall is that the story was the silver sphere got them an X rating, and they didn't know what to do. So what they did was the exact opposite of what the ratings board probably expected. Instead of cutting out the amount of blood, they just held it on there for an almost Monty Python and the Black Knight length of just blood coming out and coming out. And I was there in the theater, because I did see this in the theater, where at first people were like, ew, and then they laughed. Yeah. Because it's funny that guy is just standing there while spurt after spurt after spurt, you have to laugh. Yeah. And I thought to myself, well, that's brilliant, that you can get away with even more violence if you just keep on pushing it. These censors, these people who do the ratings board, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. You could, and I've just kept that idea in my head ever since. So I really like this movie. It definitely resonated. We all wanted that silver sphere. It's such a cool thing. Does it make any sense? Not really. But dreams seldom do. And it was fun. And also it's kind of near and dear to my heart, because I did spend some time at a horror convention with Reggie Bannister, who I think we all know is going through some very serious health issues at this time. And he and his wife were two of the absolute salt of the earth, nicest people you could meet. And it was so cool, to see movie people. Everyone at that convention was actually pretty nice. Except for one, I'm not going to say the name, but you can pretty much guess.
Oh, come on, Bill.
Well, look, in his fairness, he fell off a motorcycle and wasn't wearing a helmet, so maybe that explains a lot. And also, I got a picture taken with Angus Scrimm, and
oh, cool.
He was a cool. Again, horror people are the nicest people. I've yet to be proven wrong with that. In terms of they're humble, they appreciate the fans, and in return, we will love them for their entire lives and buy them dinner. And that's the way it goes. They have always been just the nicest people. He seemed like a really sweet guy who appreciated that people still. And he did have a scowl, didn't he? He had a dour look. Looking at in this movie, it's like at first it's like, oh, he's making a scary face, but after a while, it's like, no, I think that's his face. He was great in this. So thanks for picking this, Gregory, because it has been a while since I watched it, and it was fun to revisit.
it's such a delight. And the great thing about it is that, as I was trying to convey, is that it doesn't make sense, and yet it makes dream sense. It makes dream logic. Moments. I so appreciate little touches like, when Reggie, and of course, when I always forget somehow that Reggie isn't actually dead when he gets stabbed within the dream. Every time I think, oh no, not Reggie. You're not going to kill Reggie, right? But I love the moment when they're in just the little touches that give something that doesn't make sense still some kind of logic or sense to it. When he's in the dimensional portal and he looks at the two silver prongs sticking up the floor, and there's that quick cut of him with his tuning fork earlier in the scene when he was playing guitar with Jody, and it's so quick. He just sees it and he goes, "Oh, maybe if I put my hands on both," and it makes no sense, and yet it makes perfect sense.
Right.
That little moment. That's the kind of dream logic that is all through this and really makes it work in a way that movies that are, oh, it's all a dream, that are just sort of like dime store surrealism, do not work. Or movies that claim it's a dream because it was just sloppy filmmaking, sloppy storytelling. So.
Okay. You done, Bill?
I'm pretty sure.
Okie dokie.
And now it's time for...
Yeah. Well, not yet. First, I have to give my impressions. And I don't remember when I saw this, but I'm pretty sure I rented it from the video store. And I was not impressed. I thought it was really cheaply made and just not very good. And then when I watched it this time, I'm like, what the hell? What did I watch before? And I finally realized it was remastered, and it was remastered masterfully. I mean, it looks so good. It does not look cheaply shot. So it changed around, and that affected my whole outlook on it. I mean, there was whole big parts of this I didn't remember. I didn't remember the little fly thing. Anyway, this time I really enjoyed it, and the final scene, having not seen it for a long time, that final scene gave me chill bumps. It creeped me out big time. So I'm trying to think, and the silver ball, which is kind of weird. Maybe this happens in the other ones because I haven't seen the other ones. But the silver ball or chrome ball or whatever it is, my picture of it has that it has a lot more different tools, and all we get is like the forks and the drill. Yeah. And
God, isn't that enough?
Well, it sure seems like it. And one of the things I noticed that I think, and I read somewhere that it didn't show up on the original like VHS and stuff, was when it kills that caretaker and he falls down, he evacuates himself. There's urine all over the floor around him. And that they don't show that in horror movies very often. We're into the blood and guts.
And I remember I'd forgotten that too, and I remember thinking in that moment, that scene, like, oh, that's really interesting because that's a weird sort of visual correspondence to when the tall man's fingers gets chopped off and he spurts yellow blood.
Yeah.
Like you talk about some Giallo action. It was like yellow suddenly becomes a very important color in the movie.
Yeah, so it's very bizarre. It makes no sense. I mean, that hearse gets destroyed twice, I think. I guess it just automatically regenerates or something, or they have multiple hearses that looked identical. Sure. And Reggie, he's dead once, and then all of a sudden he shows up. Oh, you're not dead. Then he gets killed again. Oh, and then he's at the fireplace. But wait a minute, is that because it's the dream, not a dream, and none of that happened? In fact, something entirely different happened, and his brother's dead. And
yes, it's great. It's like Inception, only fun.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I didn't go, oh no, not JR's dream. I went. I enjoyed it, and the little guys. They claim, they seem a lot like Jawas in Star Wars, and they Coscarelli claimed that they came up with these before they saw Star Wars. That the filming he's filming it while Star Wars is coming out, I think.
That's possible.
Sure.
No, I believe him. I mean, he doesn't have any reason to lie about that. So it is Now time for a little thing that we do called Taglines with Chad.
Okay, not yet.
With Mr. Enthusiasm, Chad Hunt.
Okay. Taglines for Phantasm are: "This ball wants to play with you for keeps."
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's not that funny, but it took me.
It does. If this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. I remember that one from the.
Yeah, I feel like
That's
that's
on the
been
poster.
used a lot of times, but maybe
Yeah.
this was the first time. I don't know.
A great tagline, but generic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Beware the ball, beware the tall man, beware the never dead. And take a left at that old tree and down there that got struck by lightning.
I feel like "never dead" is a great sort of coinage, and that should be like in like capitalized. These are the never dead.
Well, I think that was the title in some
Yeah.
other countries.
Oh, right.
Although the Never Dead describes all of us right now, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Or the not
Where-
yet dead, I guess would be more accurate.
Yeah.
Where the dead are no longer that way.
No.
No, awkwardly phrased. I see where they were
Awkward.
unrewarding.
If this movie doesn't get on your nerves, then you must be dead.
And your nerves ain't working, is what I'm saying.
Jangly nerves. That's what you
Yeah.
got. The jangly nerves. It's everywhere. No one can escape it. It reaches out to everyone. Inescapable, invincible. A film that pushes the boundaries. Oh,
Chad, what are you? What
Jeez,
is
yeah.
That sounds like a lady who's about to say "bless your heart."
that's based on my Aunt Sarah. So
Okay.
Isn't that special?
bless his heart. Forgive him. There's something wrong with him. All right. Never open the door to the afterlife.
That's actually pretty good.
I don't mind that.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
if you went to the movie based on that tagline, you'd be like, "Wait, what?" But that's actually
Yeah.
a decent tagline.
Since this whole movie is a lot of wait what, that does make
Yeah.
sense.
If you're looking for horror that's got balls, yeah, it's found you.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Gotta get a balls joke in there.
And that's been Taglines with Chad.
Chad's our hero, cool and rad. With him reading taglines, they can't be that bad.
You know,
we prefer to refer to it as the silver sphere, not the silver ball.
Silver balls. Yeah.
Crystal is to be commended for writing and producing that song and singing it
Yeah.
every time, but I do not feel like a hero after each episode doing that. I just don't.
Well,
I went and dug up some foreign language ones for that one translated. So we're going to take a look at some posters, and Bill, I added a bunch because
good.
there's
Yeah,
a large variety of posters for this movie.
I've been scrunched for time lately,
That's
so I
fine.
appreciate
That's
the
fine.
help.
Honestly,
This
this is a great poster.
I
How
agree.
can you see this poster and not want to go see this movie?
Yeah, I mean, look.
It's got everything.
Okay, so it's shaped like a gravestone. Cool. We got one of the better of the taglines, the choice, Phantasm, which sounds kind of fancy and creepy, and a lot of people probably had to look up and see what it meant. We got the awesome silver sphere, which is the most amazing thing there. We got a kid floating, got some Jawas,
500-pound coffin.
and a big scary looking guy with long arms and a coffin. Yeah. And now, you can't tell a thing about this movie from this poster.
No, but this is the poster that I remember
Mhm.
in after I saw it on cable and seen it in video stores.
Yeah.
And again, this goes back to what I was saying from the Giallo poster book. Yeah, it's painted, it's artistic, it gives you a bunch of little things. It's enticing. Start making posters like this again. Knock it off with the big floating heads, and the teal and orange.
Hire some artists.
Yeah. Good God.
They do hire artists, but they're now Photoshop artists and AI artists. And
No.
Mm.
You've had
it's true. I hate to say it, but it's
Well,
true.
poster for a movie.
Just picture the tall man putting his hand on the shoulder of studio executives.
Right.
You know.
Well,
and his hand only having 4 fingers from the AI.
if the scripts are going to be written by AI, there's no reason not to have the posters too. So.
And so I always wonder about this part for people who listen to this on audio, if this is just like a real drag or not. But
sorry.
I really like.
Bill literally described everything on the poster.
There you are.
There you
go. So I don't know where this is. This is from the
remastered. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I like how they threw the velvet. What is their character called in the movie? The Velvet
Girl in Lavender, I think.
Girl in Lavender. Thank you. I knew there was a V sound in there somewhere. The girl.
So for those of you driving a truck and listening to the audio, we got Angus up front and center, reaching out to grab you. In between his hands are a bunch of Jawas and a floating kid. We got a gorgeous babe. It looks like she was drawn by Adam Hughes off on the side there, and we got a whole mess of pointy spheres heading your way. That's pretty good too.
Pointy spheres.
Yeah, they're now. I meant to mention when Chad was talking about loving the series. I love this movie so much that I've never seen any of the sequels, which I should probably rectify. But I didn't want to break the spell of this very strange and distinctive movie by seeing, what they did to it later. But I have to ask: are there multiple spheres in the sequels? Is there an armada?
There's a lot of spheres. Okay. There's big spheres.
All right.
And they got more tools.
That maybe what finally sells me on seeing the sequels.
I mean, that's
I'll tell you, I love this movie as well, and I've watched every other sequel to it, and it did not ruin it.
Okay.
At all for me. I still feel the same about Phantasm as I always did.
All right, I will finally see the rest of the Phantasm.
Because that's what happens if you're gonna you're sitting around. It's like, okay, we got to make Critters 5. What can we do? And in the background, someone's like, "How about have more critters?" Like, you're a genius. That's kind of what you have to do.
All right, and this was the Australian title, The Never Dead.
The Never Dead.
It's a good title.
Well, I believe that was because in Australia there was kind of a sexy show called Phantasma, and they were afraid people to be confused. Yeah.
Don't want people to be confused. But this, and there's another one. I saw a regular poster size that's got the full color, but this is more of a what would you call this? A 3-color, black and white and red.
Call it cheap.
But it's basically the image from the remastered version. And this is a what do they call these? A playbill, I think. The tall, thin aspect ratio.
Looks good.
All right.
Oh wow.
This is the Danish poster.
Wow.
And
well, points for interesting image that has nothing to do with the movie whatsoever.
I know, but isn't it cool? The eyes coming out of the hands.
I like it. What eyes? There's eyes.
There's eyes.
Those eyes.
Yeah. It's Pan's Labyrinth before Pan's
Yes.
Labyrinth.
So for those of you at home, a buxom woman is screaming and holding her hands up to her face, and yet her eyes are able. We can see her eyes through her hands.
Yes. We should do alt text for all the posters for the podcast and just have Bill describe everything.
Do what?
Do all how they have images on the internet.
Right.
Text so people who are visually impaired can hear what it is.
Actually, I just call it along. In the upper right-hand corner, Chad, wearing a dark hat, is rolling his eyes at the thought of having to do taglines once again.
So the title here is Phantasm Dusmeduden, which is I lost my place. So with death. And in Germany, which I don't have a German poster, was Das Böse, the evil. And apparently the working title was Morningside. So here's the Italian poster, which is just another version of that, but really kind of freaky looking.
Even creepier in black and white. Yeah,
it is creepy.
it glows and the eyes are kind of green. And
Again, I think it's very important this movie is called Phantasm, so you know what you're in for, unless you don't know what the word phantasm means.
Right.
Then
And,
you're just
you need to get yourself a thesaurus.
exactly. You need to Google that stuff. So.
And then we have our dual language, French and Dutch. On the left hand side is a French tagline, and on the right hand side is a Dutch tagline.
And in the middle there is a slasher movie.
Yeah, it's a knife with reflecting a screaming woman's face, and it's except the knife handle looks like a hat. So I don't know.
A Mr. Peanuts hat.
Yeah. This is a really bad poster for Phantasm, and yet I find it oddly attractive.
Kind of looks like a pilgrim hat. That's kind
once you see the hat, you can't unsee it, and it's hilarious the longer you look at it.
I never even noticed.
It's a pilgrim hat, and the blade is bigger than the actual.
So the funeral.
She looks like Columbia from Rocky Horror.
The funeral home is in the background, glowing, kind of bathed in light, and this does kind of happen. I mean, she stabs whatever his name was.
Not with a knife that looks like that.
Well, it doesn't. It's got a longer handle.
Yeah, it didn't have a hat handle.
That was very much.
Not with that hat. She didn't.
That was very much a electric katana looking dagger that she was stabbing.
Okay, folks. What it is the handle is going up off screen of the poster, but
sure.
It
does
look like
okay.
I
suppose.
Somewhere in 1980, there's a Dutch person explaining that to their girlfriend. Like, no, it's okay. The handle is going up.
Yeah. All she's missing is a monocle.
Yeah. Hat knives were all the rage.
The screaming face with the eye. That's a monocle on it. Oh, geez.
A little cane,
Little cane, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we got Don Coscarelli. That's all the posters. So.
Hey.
Some good movies there.
I'm a big fan of John Dies at the End.
Me too. I love that.
Yeah,
film.
it's a good movie.
I don't think enough credit. It was very cool.
I even like Beastmaster.
I like Bubba Hotep.
I love
I love all these films here.
But I remember John Dies at the End being particularly good.
Yeah.
Who else I've seen him?
And each one very different. I mean, not necessarily feeling like they're from the same director, but they were, and they're all good. But most of his time and effort has been into making Phantasm movies, and I can't really blame him.
You got to follow the money.
Yeah. The interviews I've seen with him, he seems like a nice guy too. So,
when did Ravager come out? 2016 was it?
I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, so 37-year span on those 5 movies.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You can tell this is his baby though. This series he has a vision for it, and he just follows through on that all the way up to the end. And you have to, and over a 30-year period, you got to hand it to the guy for doing that. Not a lot of guys directors and writers can do that.
I don't know what his inspiration was for it, but it does feel, it almost feels like these are things that actually showed up in his dreams, or variations of him that he then took and spun this larger phantasm out of. Because again, it's just stuff where it's just like, and it does feel dreamlike because there is that weird dream logic to it, as opposed to movies where we're just making this up as we go along, so we're going to throw in another weird thing or something that's unexplainable. This all feels this has a unity of sensibility. To get highfalutin for a second, this has a unified sensibility that makes it work in a way that another movie that tried to do the same thing probably wouldn't work as well. And I'm sure that's going to be right out of Don's subconscious. Right.
Did you guys ever see that? So Phantasm is his 3rd movie. Did anybody see Jim the World's Greatest or Kenny and Company?
No. It just reminds me of how David Cronenberg also, I think somewhere in there, in between body horror and, venereal disease monsters, he makes, a kid's movie.
Yeah. Well, I think Reggie
car movie.
I think Reggie is in both of those as well.
Okay. He seems to like to work with the same people.
Angus Scrimm
they
is
like
also
to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
Reggie's great, man.
Yeah.
Anybody who makes fun of a bald man with a ponytail, I'd say, hey, meet Reggie Bannister. He makes it work, man.
He does. You know, you talk about that tuning fork thing. That's like the only little musical interlude in a movie. I really enjoyed that. Those guys were pretty good guitar players.
Plus, Jody's wearing an inexplicable hat.
Yeah, I know.
At no other point in the movie does Jody wear a hat, but when he's playing guitar, he's wearing a hat that looks like the hat on the knife in the Dutch poster. That is a very strange hat. And again, it's not
like a caveman fedora.
It's that kind of detail that you're just like, just roll with it. It's a dream. It's all a dream.
The knives have hats. The actors have hats. It's a movie about
and
hats.
that terrible song. They're good guitar players, but that song was terrible.
Well, yeah, he actually wrote that.
It's fortunately brief.
Bill Thornbury, the actor that played Jody, actually wrote that.
Yeah, you can tell.
Speaking of music, the soundtrack to this is the music in this is also very good and and maybe part of the reason I feel like it's very much a cusp 80s thing is it feels more like 80s horror soundtrack than a 70s horror soundtrack.
Well, it felt a little bit like a takeoff of Halloween too, because there's that single instrument,
kind of minimalistic,
right? Because this by the time this is released, it's Halloween has conquered the world.
Let's see, the composers are Fred Myrow and Malcolm Seagrave.
It's great though.
I've always got an affection for these
Coscarelli
movies.
Was the cinematographer and the editor.
These movies where the soundtrack sounds like your friend Dave got a synthesizer for his birthday and he's been playing around with it.
Yeah.
Not this one.
Although Dave works cheap, man.
Dave's not here.
Dave scored our whole movie, man. All we had to do was buy him a pizza.
Yeah. God dang, there was something. Oh, well, I read that the original cut of this was like 3 hours long. And that I think they cut it down some, and then they did a test showing, and everybody hated it because there was way too much character development. So then they cut it down some more, and so we ended up with 90 minutes. But it said that the various pieces of footage that were cut show up in the later films, and I don't know if they're flashbacks or something, or what the deal was, but they had there was a whole backstory where Jody was taken over, his parents died, so he was now working in the bank his dad ran or something, and there was something going on.
Well, that's Sally and Susan are thrown in, and we barely get to know them, and then suddenly they're,
he's got a girlfriend.
Spirited away by
Jawa food.
And not only are they spirited away, you think, oh no, they got Sally and Susie. And then Reggie just shows up like, oh yeah, I found all the girls in the basement. I let them go. Just like everybody, it's all fine, You're just like, oh, okay, all right.
But that's again. That's very much.
Remember those two girls you had no allegiance to whatsoever?
Yeah,
gave them.
That's very much like what dreams are like, where it seems like my dream is heading toward, a point here, and then it veers off in a crazy direction. It's like, well, wait a minute, what about that elephant that was stomping on the garden?
Well, I think
stuff just gets dropped like, oh, we're going to take this to the sheriff, and then after it turns into the evil fly, the finger, there's no thought of going to the sheriff. We're just going to load up the shotgun.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, you got a question taking a finger oozing yellow stuff. They're gonna go. Okay.
We're just gonna let go of the sheriff here.
Which one of you guys is playing with special effects? Yeah. So that's cool stuff. Well, let's look at the main dude here.
Yeah.
The funeral is about to begin,
sir.
If that's a real graveyard, my name is a Phantasm.
And it was hard to figure out I kept trying to figure out. He's riding his bike, lickety split towards that funeral home. What was the character's name? Michael. And he's riding right across the front of the house. All of a sudden, now he's out in the middle of a great big graveyard. And I understand the whole. They used a different set. They planted a couple of graves in the yard alongside the house to imply that
the graveyard's right next door. Yeah. That's great.
What a face this guy has. If Rip Torn and Christopher Lee somehow had a child, just what a just scowling and again, nicest guy you could ever meet.
Mhm.
But I would not want to upset him and get the stink eye.
And that above that, that scene where Jody's having a nightmare supposedly, and that iconic thing with the tall man just saying over his bed, and then all of the Jawas coming up on either side of the bed and grabbing him,
Mhm.
right? And you're like, oh, and then it's like, oh, it's a nightmare, and then it just cuts to, oh yeah, it was just a nightmare. And I just love that there's a nightmare inside of Michael's nightmare. That this dream that Michael is having is so detailed that he's even dreaming that he's having bad dreams inside the bad dream that he's having. I love that kind of stuff. And I love that it's not belabored, it's just editing. It's just, this is how it's edited. So you at the end of the movie, you go, oh, right, he was having nightmares inside of his nightmares.
So he was in
right.
I this is one of the ones I remember. I don't remember all of them, but in the segment of Masters of Horror that Don Coscarelli did, Incident on and Off a Mountain Road, had Angus Scrimm in it.
What a perfect name. Is there, the only better name for a horror movie actor is, Max Schreck.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Klaus Kinski is pretty good too.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just
and of course Boris Karloff.
He's got six.
Angus Scrimm just sounds like the tall.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny too because all these actors their characters' names are the same as their real names. A lot of these people, like Reggie is a Reggie and Michael's a Michael, right? You almost want to think of the tall man as, oh, that's just Angus. There's Angus.
When it takes you a year to make a movie, you start forgetting things like the character's name. So it helps just to your name is his name is Reggie, just like you. Yep. You're gonna remember that, right? Yeah, I'll remember that.
Well, you look down his credits. He's got 61 credits, and the most recent is The Devil's Disciples. Now, wait a minute. He passed away in 2069, so I don't know what the deal is with that. It says 2024. Dances with Werewolves.
Oh, that's actually great. I
And,
bet that's the best part of that movie is the title right there.
Would that be a direct-to-video, Dances with Werewolves?
I would guess so.
I think that was at Sundance.
He was in the Marble Hornets story.
Starring Henry. Henry Costner.
Yeah.
Also known as Bub. Let's see. The Trick is the Treat. John Dies at the End. Femme Fatales. Tales from Beyond the Pale. Satan Hates You. Spaceman on Earth. I Sell the Dead.
I kind of want to see Satan Hates You.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Hollywood Horror. Super Robot Monkey Team. Hyperforce Go.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon lineup.
It does. It says it's a series. He was in one episode. He must have voiced.
I think it got to the point. Angus is one of those people where you're making a low budget movie. You got a little bit of extra change for one name actor that's going to be slapped on the cover, even though he's only there for 2 days and probably in the movie for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He was a go-to guy because everyone knows him. You got an icon in your movie. You got that going for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you go all the way back. I mean, right away he starts after Phantasm. He's in Witch's Brew. He plays Dr. Sindo in The Lost Empire.
Oh, that's a Fred Olin Ray movie, I think.
First Strike, Chopping Mall.
Okay.
Transylvania Twist. The Nut House, NUTT. Subspecies, Mind Warp, Munchie.
All right, somebody used to do an Angus Scrimm Film Festival.
Yeah.
Deadfall, Bone Chillers, Fatal Frames, Vampirella.
Oof.
Wishmaster.
Okay.
Anyway.
Pennsylvania Twist. Sounds like it's one of those things my grandpa used to say he used to do to win women over back in the war. I pulled the old Pennsylvania Twist and she was all mine.
Famously.
Oh, Grandpa.
If
you combine the Pennsylvania Twist with a Bucks County, you're in like Glen.
Going
didn't even have to buy her flowers.
So he was in one of Coscarelli's early movies, and Coscarelli calls him up and says, I want you to be in my new movie. I want you to play an alien. And he goes, oh, great. What country am I from?
You're from the very old country.
France. We're from France.
There's another. I want to point out another just lovely detail when Michael opens the door and he's standing there, and he's like, "I've been waiting for you," and he holds up his now completely
yeah
hand and just wiggles the fingers.
Ha ha.
That's a great.
Well, the whole hand thing was great because it's like the fingers were sticking through that door. Door was shut. There was you know.
Yeah.
There was something. What is that? That's that's in like the uncanny valley or something.
Mm-hmm.
You just go, that can't happen. What's going on?
Yeah.
His real name is Lawrence Rory Guy.
Good choice to change it to Angus Scrimm.
So he could have been the tall guy.
Yeah.
What was the name of the funeral home?
Morningside.
Morningside. That's the tall man's last name. Is Morningside.
Okay.
I can't remember the first name, but I know his last name is Morningside.
Yeah, this was obviously the one that he.
This is the one he'll be known for.
That made his chops. Brought him into prominence. So other people.
Yeah.
He would actually is a selling point.
The scene where he's walking slowly down the street, and then Reggie opens up the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
And his whole sort of like, it's just he's great. He's perfect.
That slow motion run he has when he's chasing Mike through the hallway is one of the scariest things I think ever. It's like he's right on your ass.
Yeah.
And he's just running like he has no. It was great. I love it. Love that scene.
Yep.
Actually, the movie The Lost Empire is a Jim Wynorski film.
Oh, not Fred Olen, right? You're right. Jim Mohr.
Dr. Sindhu.
Not much difference between the
No. Well.
Yeah. Anyway, he's great. He knows. He got even the picture in his bio on IMDb is that sort of pop-eyed, that's kind of squinting and the other eye's glaring at you.
It's great. True icon.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to wear a stupid striped sweater to get there.
Or fancy gloves. All right. Another one.
I just love that picture.
Yeah.
The framing of it.
The set design for the mausoleum, the interior of the funeral home, is just great. It's almost, I swear, it's almost Lynchian before Lynch.
Yes, you're right. This could easily be a picture from a David Lynch movie.
And there's just a touch of sort of proto Lynch throughout this that, and again, it's not a case of influence or somebody ripping somebody off. It's just a shared sensibility for what's going to feel both real but also off, and sort of like a dream. The way dreams will feel like, oh, this is all real, and yet there's something off about all this. It really captures it with all of the sets for this.
You guys ruined me for watching this stuff because the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, well, I know that's not marble. I wonder how they made that. And then I read it was just
contact paper.
Contact paper.
Yeah, of course.
So just a better done than say Ed Wood's Bride of the Monster. Still same premise.
It's effective.
It works.
Fine.
I'll never forget. I think it's Plan 9 from Outer Space where the pilots are like in folding chairs.
With a curtain behind
got cardboard steering wheels and a curtain for the background.
All right,
like a real airplane.
So yeah, this is it. It's impressive. It looks very real. It's shot really well. They use that space. In fact, the whole thing, they just all this crazy stuff. He goes in through the basement window. I don't know. It's interesting how they did all that. And,
watching this a couple of nights ago. This shot again. You don't see something for a while. You forget things. That top shot.
Yeah.
With Scream back in the distance. That's fantastic.
And Michael Baldwin, who was billed just as Michael Baldwin in this movie.
That's such a great shot.
You know what I like is all these actors look like people I hung out with. Okay. Michael, his hair reminds me of what my sisters allowed me to leave the house looking like for most of my high school life, and
Oh, wait.
I'll never forgive them. Yeah, I had no idea what to do with it. And Reggie's bald, and he's not ashamed of the fact. These are not typical movie star looking people, but they look like real people, and this makes it work way better than if they cast a bunch of pretty boys.
Yep.
Well, the bottom picture looks like it's a season 1, episode 10 of Knight Rider, called Kit when Kit throws a rod. I think it's called.
Jody does have a bit of the Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to ask, Chad, Wreak Havoc Film Festival. It says that Michael Baldwin was in a movie called Flay in 2019, and I swear I saw something called Flay, something with a title similar to that at Wreak Havoc.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me.
Maybe we did it on Gruesome magazine. I gotta look now. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
It's important to remember that he's a Michael Baldwin and not the.
Well, and
Yeah.
these guys, you get into a pattern because he did Flay in 2019, Phantasm Ravager in 2016, Pickaxe in 2014, which is probably not about gold mining. It Came from the Dead. That's a short. Brutal.
It sounds like a horror career.
Well, you get, and I guess you
typecast.
take what you can get,
Sure.
But getting typecast is another way of saying getting a job.
Yep.
Right,
Lots of jobs. They may all be the same job, but it's constant jobs, and there are worse things in life.
And
Absolutely.
you could have a decent. I don't want to say it, a decent time traveling the country at horror conventions, I would think.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as I said, you'll never pay for a drink or a meal.
So we also have Bill Thornbury is there on the left in that bottom shot.
If only I'd known, I would have been in a horror movie in the late 80s. I just didn't know.
Yep.
Free eats?
You can lie about this and say you're in a Planet of the Apes movie or you were a stormtrooper, because who's going to be able to prove you wrong?
Yeah. Well, it's like my good friend from high school who was a puppeteer on the Blob, the 1980 Blob.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
I just claim, a crew.
Mhm.
But they don't invite crew people to conventions unless you're, FX person. So it doesn't quite work. They're all famous. They're not great. They're not great actors, but they're all perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think Reggie does a decent job.
Great. Great.
Reggie's playing Reggie, and he plays Reggie very well.
Michael Baldwin is decent for a kid. He's supposed to be. 12,
I didn't want him
old.
to die, which is a big improvement over most of the kids in these movies.
Yeah.
Die already. Get eaten by a blob.
And it's I've never before this. I can't think of a movie where there's the kid is being chased by a monster like this, where the kid is the main character or something. It's usually a grown up or something, but he has Ridley or not Ridley. Ripley vibes on him. Yeah.
I love how he walks right up to the tall man in that top scene,
and
only when he's almost met him, darts runs down the hallway, really, it's just wow, okay.
Also, I love the scene where he MacGyvers the crap out of that shotgun shell with the hammer, and I'm like, you go, kid. That's thinking outside the box. Now, I hope nobody ever tried this at home, because I think there's a really good chance a hammer would be plunged into your forehead.
Yeah,
Newton's third law and everything.
Yeah. Well, even pounding the thumbtack into it would have.
Yeah, risky.
So, and Coscarelli apparently said in the commentary that, as far as he knew, he was glad that no one had ever actually tried that.
I'm not sure they're all
a dream.
Yeah. Don't try this at home.
Oh, by the way, this is something I noticed Did you guys notice the science fiction novel that's sitting on its side on Michael's desk?
Yes.
What is it?
Yes. Roger Zelazny's Legion.
My name is Legion.
Oh.
There's nothing like watching a movie and seeing a copy of a book you own.
You have, yeah.
Background.
There's a reason for that.
I was sitting there. I was looking and looking. I said, looks so familiar. Like, my name is Legion. So yeah, I actually own probably the exact same edition.
Yeah. I like that
Roger
cover.
Zelazny's My Name is Legion. That is sitting like this on Michael's desk.
Remember when you could go to a drugstore and they had whole racks of
Yes.
really cool looking books
Yes.
with colorful covers? Back in the
Yes.
day when people used to read.
Yes. Well, some of us, still are laboring under that division. So yeah, that was great. I love that.
But that means back in the day, everybody did it because these were just regular drugstores in regular little towns like mine. So ordinary folk, not a bunch of the hoity-toity elite that went to college or do podcasting and stuff.
And I'm sure there was no significance. It's not, if it was an A24 film we're talking about, the paperback copy of, Silver Spheres of Venus.
Yeah.
The Bergman version of
somebody was just like, this has to look like a kid's room. Yeah, have a giant shot of the moon of taking up an entire wall and throw a science fiction novel on the desk.
Yeah, but don't do Harlan Ellison's. He might sue us.
Yeah.
So there's Reggie doing
Reggie. I love that scene with the whole
human tuning fork.
Yeah.
Yeah, those canisters were just that whole thing. I wonder what those were. Anybody see what those actually were?
I thought they had the little bodies in them.
Yeah, the bodies.
Right. No, but I mean the actual things.
What are they? Yeah. Milk cartons? I don't know.
Just whatever you do, don't smack them and say, "Well, these are made by the U.S. Army engineers," and then you're in trouble. That's
I liked him.
It's great. It's just so weird. You're just like, what the hell is happening now?
They go into this room, and then he goes and sticks not a particularly impressive effect, but it works. Mike sticks his arm between the poles
and gets sucked in.
And then, actually, once he goes in there and he's tumbling in the red space, that was pretty cool. I thought. I don't know.
No, that whole shot. I mean, that's almost like the money shot for a horror movie of this kind. Where you're just like, wait, what? You think you're watching one thing, and then you realize you're watching something else entirely, and that's fantastic. I remember when I saw that when I first saw the movie, I'm just like the whole movie just opens up in your mind. And as Chad has pointed out, you probably get to learn more about that planet in the sequels, I'm guessing.
Well, I won't spoil it.
No spoil it. I'm guessing there's a return to that.
There's that.
Yeah.
There's that shot where Michael is watching the tall man walk down the street, and he walks behind the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
And the frost is billowing out, and he kind of makes a face. Yeah. I somewhere I thought I read that Coscarelli actually said that was because it's so hot where they come from that the cold bothered him.
He kind of looks like but he also kind of looking like he's like It's not a completely he's not sort of trying to avoid the cold. It's more like he's just sort of like stunned by the.
I think the moral is even evil aliens like ice cream. Everyone likes ice cream except Crystal.
And dirty commies.
She likes poo poo.
Commies and Crystal. That's it. The only people that hate ice cream.
Yeah, Crystal likes poop.
Poop and doo doo.
Yeah. There it is. Iconic.
Oh my God. Okay. How much did I love this thing? I tried to build my own out of so I'm pretty sure. So the women used to get stockings. I don't know if they do this anymore, but my women in my life used to get stockings in this big silver egg.
Yeah, legs.
Yeah.
Classic
legs.
Yeah. So I took the two roundish parts and glued them together and stuck some forks and sprayed them chrome and had my own little silver sphere.
I made all kinds of things out of legs.
I don't know why. I don't know what I did with it.
He threw it at his neighbor and put his eye out.
Filled it up with red Kool-Aid. And...
I took it to school and gave him one more reason to make sure I sat alone at lunchtime.
It's like a Christmas story. Hey Santa, I want a spear from Phantasm. No, you'll only put your eye out and drill at somebody's forehead and like spurt blood.
You'll suck your brain out, kid.
Well, even after it finally spurted, it spurts a couple of times, like a faucet clearing almost, and then it's just a steady stream coming out.
Yeah.
And I know they did that like in some kind of reverse shot, but
it looked good.
The first time they showed it flying down that shot right there,
well, the thing is, they made the forks. It's all functional. The forks hold the ball in place, and the drill comes out and does its business.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And clearly, the tall man
good engineer.
That one of his minions has run afoul of the alien security service.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh well,
I told you not to come inside,
I'm impressed that we can't see the camera reflected in the sphere, but maybe I can. I just can't interpret it right. I don't know.
Well, it's moving fast enough to where you'd have to really slow it down.
Let's see.
It looks like some plumber leaned over a sink, going, "You've been putting broccoli in here?"
Yeah, this thing,
amazing.
When you were talking about Gregory, the whole thing kind of threw me off because he goes through that. He's riding his bike. The tall man makes it so his motorcycle, I should say, isn't running right, and it makes him crash. Yeah. And I can't remember. Then he goes to the fortune teller, and then he's telling them what happened, and some of the stuff we see we already saw once, but some of the other stuff we haven't seen before. I remember right. I'm trying to remember exactly what he's telling them, but it's I don't know. It was weird, like he says it and then we see it again.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to figure out what the hell was going on. They were just showing it to us again. Anyway.
It turns out he's the Quicksack Hatterack. So you're telling me that whole box thing was before Dune?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, but he was a fan of the book. It's in the book. It's in the book.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, wow.
Yeah. No, it's in the book. He said he was a fan of the book.
Yeah,
so.
everybody's visual memory of that is all from Dune, and it's like, no, here's that scene in the movie, 5 before.
He said something about he wanted to do a horror movie, and he wanted to have something had to happen every 5 minutes. It was almost like Corman on. So I kind of feel like he went, well, something's got to happen now. Well, I'll have the finger turn into this weird fly thing, That'll be.
I'll have the weird thing with.
Then I'll have the fear box, the pain.
But I love too how clearly, and again, it's a dream. But the way that the grandmother's daughter or caretaker or whatever is just so casual. She opens her like, "Oh hey Michael, oh hey come by for some come on." It's sort of like
he leans over and goes, "She's glad you came to see you."
It's like a Stepford wife.
But it's like he drops.
And then he leaves and she
drops by there all the time. And even better, the sign that the grandmother has, just that red hand.
Oh yeah, out of the street. Yes, I thought that was great.
It's not like madam.
It doesn't say fortune teller or palms red or anything.
Just a red palm on a sign. Little details like that. I just love that stuff. Again, reinforcing the fact that this is a dream, and so questions you might ask about. Well, why would don't ask? So, it's all a dream. It's all Michael's. It's all Michael's unconscious. Subconscious.
So Kathy Lester played the lady in lavender, but she didn't want to do nude scenes, so they had to use someone else to do the nude cut.
Boobs, the stunt boobs.
Yeah, and her name was Laura Mann, and they insisted that she get billing, so she's billed as double lavender. Lavender double, but double lavender.
I believe I knew a stripper back in Vegas named Double Lavender.
Yeah.
Well, and they said I think Bill Thornbury's. Do we have a bare butt on him, or that might be a part that got cut?
It's another aspect of this that is so 70s is like, here's some boobs, but it's so completely
assless.
Yeah, it's not. It's just there. It's just
Yeah.
No reason.
no reason.
Well,
we're making a horror movie. We have to have at least one.
there was at least a scene shot where you see his butt, and he wouldn't do that. So
Why is it every
They had
podcast
a
that Gregory's been on
grip
with us,
to
we
the
talk
butt.
about asses?
I just wait till we get to the feedback.
Oh,
All right. So what else do we want to say about this?
I mean,
classic horror film.
I
Gotta see it.
gotta go watch the series now.
I love just all the stuff that's just very random and yet somehow makes dream sense. Where we're suddenly like, oh, I'm gonna drop off the antique place where Susie and Sally do it. Like, who's Susie and Sally? Why are you introducing these characters out of nowhere? Suddenly?
yeah.
Right. But why is that? Just so we can pick up that photograph and see the tall man in the 19 recently, turn and look at him. Right.
Mhm.
Just that Harry Potter photograph. Yeah. That's a cool touch too. That little bit of surrealism and scene that otherwise is real.
And it's probably, I can't let it move by without going into full cinephile analytic professorial mode, which is, well, what is this movie actually about? And of course, as is often the case, it's a movie about grief.
Yeah.
A movie about grief. And it's you're prepared that he's an orphan, the parents die. This guy's buddy is the first victim in the double lavender stabs him in the very first scene of the movie. It's all about grief. And then when you come into the out of the what you think is the dream into the reality, and Reggie's like, yeah, I'm going to take care of you, bud. Right. Mm-hmm. And there's that great, I don't know if you guys noticed this, there's the scene where there's a quick flashback scene where he's standing over Jody's grave, right, and crying. Mm-hmm. And it's a modern cemetery. It's not this spooky gothic cemetery that we've been seeing that supposedly is outside.
Right. It's
all flat. It's all totally modern, flat headstones. And it's such a nice touch because you suddenly go, oh, right, this has just been some terrible dream. But then at the very end, Michael's not escaped. He has not. You think he's going to be okay, but he's not escaped his grief over the loss of his brother. And then the fact that he is like following his brother through the whole movie and spying on him and can't be. And this, you're like, oh well, he just he's just wrecked about their parents' death. No. At that end, you realize it was all about Jody all along. And that's why Jody appears so heroic. I mean, is there a more heroic scene when Jody like lifts his arm at the end after he's pushed hundreds of boulders down to, close off the mine shaft? The tall man has, which is another great scene where the tall man is like reaching as he's going down the mine shaft. It's just great. So on the level of just like, oh, what is this movie about? It's like, yeah, it's about being trapped in grief. If you want to go there and talk about it in that highfalutin way. But I think you should, because then it makes that ending felt very meaningful. And Reggie's so great in that final scene where he's just so heartfelt, like, I'll take care of it, bud. Well, let's go on. It makes it work. Again, horror always kicks up a notch when you connect with the characters on an emotional level and not just that was a fun kill or that was that was a good effect. So it's great.
The mansion is the same mansion used for burnt offerings.
Oh,
you guys have done burnt offerings, yes?
Yeah. And I thought I read somewhere that the original idea came from a dream that Coscarelli had.
There's a shocker.
I had to. If it would have been very strange if a dream did not figure it out.
And the title was from Edgar Allan Poe, uses the word phantasm.
Phantasm. It's great.
Figment of the imagination.
It came to Coscarelli in a dream. One night in his late teens, he dreamed of fleeing down endlessly long marble corridors, pursued by a chrome sphere intent on penetrating his skull with a wicked needle. There was also a quite futuristic sphere dispenser out of which the orbs would emerge and begin chase.
It's not to say that you couldn't have made that stuff up all on your own while you were awake, but boy, if you had to identify the start of the dream, it's that silver spirit, which is part of why it's just so. It just it works so well. It's the last thing you're sort of expecting, you know.
All right. Any final comments?
Go watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out a lot of streaming sources right now.
And it's all I think the versions that are out there are all the Bad Robot
Remaster. Yeah.
So it's great.
It's on Prime. I think it's. I don't know.
I watched it on. I actually watched it on Peacock. It's on Peacock.
Yes. Okay, I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure because the place I looked them up said it was on AMC Plus, but it wasn't there. So I don't know. All right. Well, we got feedback.
Woohoo!
Starting with, let's see, episode 236, The Antichrist, from Travis McDonald. Bill.
All right. Travis McDonald says, really enjoyed the review. I've never seen this one, but nothing beats a good old Italian exploitation flick. This one looks weird and fun. And based off the thumbnail, I thought it was Amanda Plummer being possessed. Best wishes to you all. You know, you're right. I know exactly the thumbnail he's talking about. Yeah, she does have some Amanda Plummer vibes there.
Is this the Osculum Obscenum movie? Yeah.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate it. Episode 237, The Night of the Sorcerer's Gregory.
I mean, I would do that, but I cannot see. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Okay, got it. I was having some difficulties here. Night of the Sorcerers from Jose. The description the crew gives here sure sounds a lot like the late night horror flicks I loved staying up late to watch local TV when I was around 10 years old. Every Friday and Saturday, this type of movie would be on. I remember seeing The Terror with Boris Karloff and lots of others. They usually weren't very good, but they were horror content, and I ate them up.
Mm-hmm.
It is. The slow motion witches in the leopard bikinis and capes. Definitely late night movie fair.
Great stuff.
Very
and I'm going to read this one. 238 about Abby from Thunderhead Jones. I am the ass man, cuckoo, kachoo.
I hate that guy. Thunderhead Jones. What kind of name is that?
I know. I mean, Thunderhead Jones. That's just so like. I mean, you couldn't have a dumber name. Maybe like Princess Dragon Mom or something. I don't know.
It is stupid. It is. Both of those names are very stupid, very childish and immature.
I am the.
You can't blame the guy. I mean, you know, what kind of parents name their kid Thunderhead? Imagine the teasing he got on the playground.
Mr. and Mrs. Jones, apparently.
Terrible parents. Terrible.
Unless it's a pseudonym, like his name is actually Thunderhead Schwartz, and he's just like.
All right. Well, we don't have a lot of feedback today because
lip shits.
Yeah.
Our last episode was recorded 5 days ago, so get that feedback in, folks. And Abby just went live today.
So how do we have reviews for something that just went live today? Just that quick.
You could have been a Patreon.
Oh, Patreon people get to see this early.
Sure.
Or you could
also Thunderhead Jones. Maybe has special access.
He just did a file. He looked at.
Not if I have anything to do with it. He doesn't.
Sorry, Asplin Brothers. Yeah, if you haven't listened to Abby, there's 3 guys, and I forget all their names except for Bub Asplin, who were the cinematographer, the editor, and the sound guy on the movie.
It's like the Coen brothers, except they're all named Assman.
All right. A-S, single S, M-A-N. All right.
Yeah.
Butt jokes are funny.
Crystal's not the only one that likes doo-doo.
Doo-doo poo-poo. I love it.
You're not kidding. But first, we really appreciate your feedback. So everybody make feedback on, make comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, or you can send emails to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or check out our Facebook group. People are always posting a variety of horror-related things, along with we post up the episodes there. And there's a Gruesome Magazine Facebook page. And you can go to gruesomemagazine.com and check out our reviews and all that stuff. We just posted a review of Parvulos, the latest from Isaac Esban, which is a phenomenal movie. with limited theatrical release last Friday. All right. So yeah, please, we love comments.
Okay.
We do a new episode.
The whole reason I'm sitting here right now is because I made a nuisance of myself in the comments. This could
be you.
Could be you.
I told you guys.
You're telling me Thunderhead Jones could be occupying one of these squares one day?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
No.
Insightful.
I'll quit if that happens. I will quit that very day.
He doesn't have a face for YouTube.
Yeah.
No.
More like Thunderhead Jones.
Good face for radio.
Well, it's like he's in junior high and he thinks he's funny. You know.
Somewhere. No, I was just like, hey, what is with this inside jokes? Can we just find out what the next episode is?
These are all inside jokes. So next episode is one chosen by Chad. We do one every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Chad, what are we doing?
1974's The Corpse Eaters.
Done.
I know nothing about this movie.
Neither do I. It's an hour long, so.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and you know why it's an hour long?
Is this
because all the worst things got cut?
Is this a cannibal genre?
I have no idea. I've never.
Zombies recently dead, I think is what it says. And the other thing it says is I think the producer was a guy who owned a chain of drive-ins.
Oh, so didn't matter if the movie sucked; it was going to be shown.
Chad always goes for the cream of the crop, but it'll be fun.
Oh God! Well,
we'll be the judge of that.
At least the poster's fun.
Is it?
Oh, hey, it's Canadian. Great.
Oh no!
At least it'll be nice.
Oh,
everybody in the movie will be nice to each other.
Well, it is rated R.
What if it just turns out it's a guy eating a bucket of chicken? Because I mean, corpse eater. Who isn't a corpse eater unless you're a vegetarian?
Well, true. Depends on we need to find corpse.
Yeah.
And what is that? And this is on Tubi, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Pretty much everything is.
So
man eating chicken.
Those of you who are still listening to us, you can say to yourself, "I'm going to fire up Tubi and watch the Corpse Eaters before the episode."
I should.
No one's doing that.
Maybe you want to let us take the bullet for you.
Yeah, wait. Well, if you really want to follow along with the show, watch the movie first.
I mean, I tried to do that in the past. Every so often, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to actually try to watch this before the episode drops." And
then when you listen to the podcast, you're like, "Oh, that Bill Mulligan makes a very good point."
Yeah,
Chad, not so much.
Well,
Yeah.
Look at Chad, that face.
All right.
Well,
just chit-chatting.
Good thing I don't have all my teeth, Bill Mulligan.
I never know what the hell is going on anymore.
The jokes are coming from inside the house.
I didn't ask you.
It's okay, buddy.
What did you mean in the Abby episode about erasing that voicemail you left?
Who are you talking to?
Chad.
Me.
Oh.
It had to do with the massage.
Oh, okay.
You said some. I didn't think you were still doing them, so just erase the voice message.
All right. And on that note,
can't even make an appointment around here without it being the world knowing it.
Thanks to all our listeners / viewers. Thanks.
And apologies.
Thanks, Chad, Bill, and Gregory.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Say good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.